All right, well, it's 6 o'clock on March the 12th, 2024, and we'll call this meeting of the Bryant Parks and Recreation Committee to order. Before we get into things, I want to congratulate our current director and soon-to-be mayor on his election. 6 o'clock on March the 12th, and certainly thank him for everything you've done in the parks over last 8 years.
8 years, yes, sir.
So it's got a lot accomplished, and the fact that you'll be our mayor, I think, is a great thing for the city. So I'd also like to recognize his opponent. Anytime you put yourself on the ballot and put yourself out there, that's quite a commitment, and we certainly recognize him for a campaign well run as well. And I think we're in good shape moving forward. So. All right, we got the minutes to approve. You see them attached here. Has anybody got any comments on the minutes from our last meeting on February 13th? If not, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make the motion.
Drew makes the motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that is approved. Minutes are approved. So, next item on the agenda is association and club reports. Nothing. Okay. And how about a master plan update on the director's report?
With your permission, can I make a few comments before we talk about the master plan?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so I wanted to thank you as a committee. This will be my last Parks Committee meeting as the director, and I was kind of thinking back on the last 8 years and this committee and what we've been able to accomplish. I mean, there's no doubt about it that what we've accomplished. And I told our staff this: what we've accomplished as a department and as a committee, as a team, gave me the credibility to run for mayor. If it wasn't for work you guys have put in and our staff has put in and our partners have put in to make this better, to make all the improvements, there's no way I would have had that kind of credibility. And the other thing that I think I learned working with you, last summer, a lot of those A&P discussions, and even before that, the master plan work we did, it really helped me see how vital having residents engaged in the process is. That over and over and over, everything we worked on, we would come, there's kind of staff input, elected officials input, and it never was really balanced until the residents had their chance to give their input. And I kind of think about it now as kind of a three-legged stool. You got to have your administration, your staff, your elected officials, but sometimes that just can become an echo chamber until the residents come in and balance it. And I look back at all the signs, man, all the signs. We talked about those signs for a long time, and there were times when I got frustrated because we were moving so slow. But in the end, because everybody got input, it ended up being really much better than what I envisioned. If it had been just me, they wouldn't have been near as good as what we were able to come up with together. And so I appreciate that. You have reframed a lot of things for me coming into these meetings with certain mindset and direction I thought, and I was convinced we had to go. And then your wisdom gave us a better direction. And so I appreciate that. One of the things that we understand, and I want to make sure as mayor that we will try to do a better job of communicating to our community, is how many people are engaged and are touched day to day and served day to day by this department. And if you're not in it like us, you may not be as aware. All of our partners, the BAA, the BSA, the Boys and Girls Club, the Senior Adult Center, soccer, lacrosse, our own programming in basketball and volleyball and disc golf community, our dog park community, pickleball, and tennis, all the members of our center. When you start thinking about the coaches, the volunteers, the parents, the people that are of all ages that are coming to our parks, even passively, right? Just a Mills Park Saturday was packed. There's thousands of people that are being served by this department, and it's a broad range of people that are giving a lot of time and a lot of energy and passion to serve this community. It is, we see it, and I want to make sure we communicate it. It is essential to the quality of life at Bryant. All that we're able to do with all of our partners. And then, again, unless you're in it, you don't see as much. I mean, we are Bryant. And so as mayor, you can count on me continue to make sure we continue to be better and provide that service and that quality of life. Last thing I want to say is I'm really happy for the department to I'll be appointing Keith as interim, and then we'll open that position up just like we do all the regular process. But I did want to say just quickly about Keith. You guys have seen his management skills. You've seen his attention to detail and his gift with numbers, right? But maybe what you haven't seen that I've watched over the last few years is Keith has become a leader among leaders in the Parks and Rec professional community, and not just in Arkansas, but in the region. And so I think it's important for us to, he's going to be a much better parks director than me. I have no doubt about that, and I'm very proud to say that. And I was thinking with the NCAA tournament coming up, I thought, what's going to be a problem for us moving forward, let's say, as he goes through the process and he's hired as the parks director, the problem for us is going to be, he's going to be like one of those coaches in a school that now in the NCAA tournament, everybody knows, they see this guy, and everybody's going to try to steal him. And so that's going to be the challenge we have, that as he continues to shine in the Parks and Rec professional world, I want to make sure we understand what a quality leader among leaders we have in our department, and it's in very good hands. So thank you for letting me share those things, Mr. Chairman. Master plan. So we've been working diligently on this for a couple of years, and we are at the phase that we have a draft copy. And what we would like to ask you as a committee, for some of you to volunteer for maybe a subcommittee, which our rules allow for that, a subcommittee just to be formed ad hoc, to look it over, to really dig into it and get eyeballs on it before we make a formal presentation to the committee and council. And what we do is next Parks Committee in April, we'd like to have a workshop with Parks Committee and council to unveil that. So that, because then it would go to council to be accepted at the end of April, but we feel like a workshop will give us a chance to discuss it, right? A workshop setting, a little less formal than a council meeting. But we would like to ask the committee and members that would like to volunteer to get a first look at it and make sure that it reflects what your priorities, and if there's anything in it that we need to adjust before that April meeting. But we're very excited about it. But now it's a thick document, so it's going to take something. It's going to take some time.
It's about 350 pages, so just trying to get help from more eyes on it. I'm going cross-eyed looking at it.
So is your thought the ad hoc committee would be exclusively made up of members of the Parks Committee, or would we have other representation as well.
Keith, what do you think?
I mean, to do this in April, I'm afraid that extending that probably elongates the timeline of the review process. So in my mind, it was more like if there was a few people on the Parks Committee that was interested in helping get another set of eyes on it to review it. Actually, Kristen's great with details as well, and I actually talked to her earlier today about adding her to, but as far as just, you know, trying to go through and review and catch every little thing, I was just trying to find a few more people to give some help with that, so.
Do you have a number in mind?
I mean, if we could get just like 3 or something, that would be interested. And I talked to Renee last night. She said with spring break next week, that would be a good time for her to actually look over it. So, so she was interested in assisting with that. McClellan's supposed to provide some hard copies at the end of the week. So I should have, right now I just have a digital file for it, but I know a lot of times when you're reviewing, it's a lot easier to see something and be able to mark it up and everything. So, and it may not be like a formal committee. It may just be, or a formal subcommittee. It may just be asking if there's anyone that's interested in helping look through it before we present it next month.
So if that's going to be at our next regular meeting, then we need to put some expectation of a deadline for their review to be done, and then do they return it?
It would go to McClellan. I can and be kind of the liaison between that, as far as can even create like a shared document for people to put their edits in there. That's how I've worked with McClellan so far, as far as sending edits and them replying, is through that. So if we have a few people that are interested, I can coordinate all that.
So the ad hoc committee, whatever they come up with, would be representative of the committee. They'd get it to you, and you'd work with McClellan.
And then if the committee will be, the actual Parks Committee will be involved, because it'll be a workshop in April with Parks Committee and Council to go through that document. I was just trying to get as many of the reviews and those things clean, kind of like, I felt like when we did our, back when we were, our policies and stuff for them, I felt like we were going back and forth every month. And it's like, how can we speed this up and make sure we clean up as many of these reviews as possible before we get to the workshop stage of it?
So would the committee, the ad hoc committee, be looking at just, I tend to mark things up with a red pen when I see them, or would it be the content, the priorities reflected in? Do we want to get into that, or?
Well, there have been a ton of just typos or grammar, things like that. So obviously, yes, help with that as well. But also, if there's something that we're not, I know the first review process, I'm not sure how much of it but the first review process, the tennis and pickleball facility was still priority one. Well, we kind of talked about that and said, well, that was tied into the vote of last November. That's not priority one anymore. So it's just little things like that, like, hey, this needs to be adjusted now. And so if there are big things that this group sees, I do think some of that may come up throughout the workshop process too.
Okay.
But yes, I think anything that a fresh set of eyes that go, hey, are we sure this is what we want? Like, and because there's been some of that, and we've had discussions with McClellan, and some things they said, oh yeah, y'all, this is y'all's master plan, let's adjust. And then some other things are like, well, no, technically, this is what we received from our feedback, so this is what we're going to stick with.
And some of the thinking is, as far as execution, right? When we get to pulling off this plan, this committee is going to be vital. So as much as you own it, right, you need to own it, because you're going to be really advocating when we get to the funding stage and the timing stage of how it gets actually done. So I do think we're open to as much input as you want to give to make sure it really reflects the committee's direction.
We need to learn from more.
What's all on it? Is it everything that we talk about through the A&P, or?
Man, it's everything.
What's part of the master plan? What is the master plan like?
It's got all that in there. All that we kind of presented.
Everything they found in the surveys or the ward meetings and all that stuff. And then, I mean, a lot of you've already seen some of the potential, projects and things like that down the road that they're proposing. So, I mean, all that stuff is in there as well. There may be some changes made to it or things like that, but.
It's got cost estimates, it's got timelines, all that stuff. It's got data, national benchmarks that we kind of went off of early on in the stage, remember that? So it kind of takes you all the way through that process, everything we went through, but gives a lot of detail. And each park has it talks about each individual park, and details about each park. It's a lot.
And I don't want it to be pressure, like if you don't join this or anything, you're gonna, like, all Parks Committee will be included in the workshop. This would just be, in some ways, just, and I just think the more eyes you can get on something for reviewing, the better before you actually bring it in a public meeting, Yeah,
and if council and the committee at that workshop aren't very passionate and excited about it, then we need to get it fixed, because once it gets approved by council, with numbers attached, it's a plan that the expectation of the community is that we get done. So I don't want that approval until everybody's on board and saying, yes, this is the direction that we are going to go as a city in our Parks Department.
So we form the committee, they review it, funnel suggestions back to Keith.
Mm-hmm.
Keith goes to the workshop, which will be concurrent with our
next meeting.
Around our next meeting.
Assuming that we get to a point where we're happy to bring it there, yes.
Okay, and then whatever comments are made there are incorporated into the document?
Yes, and McClellan will be presenting it then
At the
as
workshop,
well. Yes. Yeah, McClellan, they had offered to be here tonight with it, and I just don't feel like I'm finished reviewing it yet for real. So we had asked to wait till next month for them to present it.
So after the workshop, would it come back to, does this committee need to sign off on it, or?
I think we could do that at the workshop.
Yeah,
The council can't, but Parks
right.
Committee
If it goes well, and everybody says, okay, bring this to us at the council meeting, we're going to approve it.
Well, wouldn't we be doing a workshop the same night as council?
No, we're going to do it
with Parks Committee.
So
we just.
second Tuesday in April,
Okay.
we'll have a workshop with council, Parks Committee workshop.
Okay.
With city council, kind of like we do with our budget. But it'll be a Parks Committee workshop, with council invited to it to comment and help us.
Will that serve as our regular April meeting? Okay.
And now we thought workshop just because the informal discussion piece.
Sure.
But you can't really, is a little more difficult in a regular meeting.
So it'd be in addition to, we might just adjourn one and go into the other, whatever we say.
Yeah, whatever you say, it's completed. And we would probably need to do it over at City Hall.
Okay, all right. Well, we've got one person that's volunteered for the committee. Is anybody else, is that something anybody would like to, say, I want to be a part of that? Amanda, thank you.
Yes, next week.
Okay, all right. And I guess the rest of us can look at it too if we so choose, but we need to have would you be interested?
I would.
Okay.
Well, that's fine. Yeah, I can get, I'll coordinate with everyone as far as when, McClellan gets us the hard copies. And in the meantime, if you're one that wants to look at it digitally, I can get you,
Perfect.
I can get you both of them, so.
Okay,
Oh,
That's great.
thank you, guys.
great. Anything else?
That's it, sir.
Good. Don't have any public comments, do we, or do we?
I don't know if it's the right time, but I'll make a comment. Or do we have any other time after this?
There's a committee comment,
Committee comments?
Okay, I'll wait till committee comments.
Okay. All right. Any old business? New business, Kristen's gonna talk a little bit about the Mills Park.
Just, first off, I just want to introduce Kristen, actually,
Sure.
because I know that some of you may not know. So last month, we talked about, Suzanne presented. We talked about our swim lessons and the free swim lessons we provide for the Boys and Girls Club. And I said it then, I'll say it again, Kristen deserves 100%, that was her brainchild. She is incredible. We're so lucky to have her. All the things that Chris said about me earlier, which were very kind, I couldn't do without the staff that I have. So, and Kristen's a big part of that. So for those of you that have not met Kristen, that's our aquatic superintendent, Kristen Robinson. And she's going to talk about an issue that we've had come up here because she's the expert that can actually explain all of this stuff. And while we need to, while we have to do this. So, all right.
So what we're proposing is that the Mills pool needs to be resurfaced. It needs to be replastered. There is in your handout a quote from Blue Water Commercial Aquatics on what that would cost and what it would entail. And down in there, you do see that, like, when they do it, it's an 8 to 12 year service life. We're on 10 years at Mills Pool. So, I mean, it's right in that time frame that it needs to be replastered. The current plaster has lots of, I mean, it's just degraded. Like, it's all over. There's some places where you can see the concrete coming through it, and it's just time to replaster that pool. We struggle with black algae at that pool, and just being in Mills Park with all the trees, with all the organic material that blows into it, is very challenging. But when you have that kind of surface, it allows for algae to get into those crevices and grow where we can't control it, because it gets roots in there. And so what we need is a surface that's flat and smooth where that algae doesn't have a place to attach. And so that's the biggest health issue with not replacing the plaster, is that algae getting into the cracks that we can't control.
This is something that, I say we, but Kristen has been fighting out at Mills Pool for years now. This started to come to our attention. We were going to have to do something. I think last January or February is when we started talking about it. And then obviously we spent all of last year in a budget deficit. We didn't feel like there was we were in a place where we could come and ask for this. So we have been just trying to limp along with it. We had 2 different companies come out and do a study on it, investigate it about a month, 6 weeks ago, or was it last fall, and we just been waiting on a quote?
I had spoke with Blue Water last fall about getting a quote. They were in the process of getting PIFs, and we're waiting for that to get me a quote. I also contacted Clarity Pools. They're ones that I trust to do work. They actually did the lap pool and therapy pool 2 or 3 years ago. They came out, looked at the pool, said they would get me a quote. Did not seem thrilled about doing it, and I haven't gotten a quote. I feel like this one, there's only a couple that I want somebody that I can trust. These are people that I work with a lot, and so I do trust that they would be able to do the work, and they are tips. But like I said, I was trying to get another quote, but I haven't gotten that yet.
How long is the process? Did they have to give us estimated time?
Yes, it's about a 3-week process. We will have to be, it's going to have to happen in April for it to be ready to open.
That's my next question. When did we open the pool over there?
We open Memorial Day weekend, the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. And it is a process of, that it says the scope of work where they go in, they scrape off and get rid of the old and put the new. And then there's a process after that of when you put the water in and the chemicals and all that to get to, to keep it in best shape before, we can open.
A few questions on it. So
Sure.
I'm back on the contracting. I know that generally when you do government contracting, you throw it out to a number of firms and you get a number of back. How was the process on reaching out to other people on contracts? So it sounds like you reached out to 2 people.
Yes.
I didn't know if there was any others that, like, how the word got out on the contracts, and I don't.
So we could, I mean, this is something that with that price, we would bid out. We do have the opportunity with cooperative purchasing where like Tips or Sourcewell, they've already done the bidding for you. In this case, this is a time when we would need to take advantage of that because the time frame is so tight that we won't have in order to get it work done and open the pool in time, we would not have enough time to go through the full bid process. That is why we reached out and just asked for quotes, not necessarily formal bidding, but quotes to see what other ones and
Basically, what I was told too is that whether Blue Water does it or Clarity does it, they're using the same plaster people. And we have to get on their calendar, and they're out of state. The two that they said that these two companies have told me that they use are out of state. And so getting on that calendar and getting the plaster people that actually do it would essentially be the same people, no matter which company I went with.
Gotcha. You said the time frame was short. So when was this? When did the process on wanting to start setting up the bids?
I think they just came. I think Kristen talked to them last fall, but they actually just came out and looked at it in the past month or so, and that's when they said, "Whoa, you're not going to be able to limp through another year like this. Like this needs to."
And
we need to get this done now.
So roughly
this is kind of what the wall looks
that.
like. I mean, it's not kind of, that's a picture of the wall from, but you can see all the
Yeah.
holes in it and.
What about the slide and everything? Is it all, I haven't been to Mills Park in years. Is there a slide? Is
Yeah.
it all in great shape and so it's just the plaster
Or
part?
just be the.
It's just the plaster that we're looking at.
I guess we didn't put this in budget or nothing, did we? Would this be out of budget type?
Yeah, I've spoken with Joy. Joy is aware that we were bringing this to Parks Committee tonight, and with your blessing, we'll be taking it to council this month. And so I've already kind of started talking with her about where, in savings the money can come from. I don't want to speak for Joy since she's not here, but I mean, she felt confident that, we would be able to do this. I mean, it is a situation. I'm not going to say that, oh, well, if we don't do this, we're not opening Mills Pool this summer. We'll continue to do everything in our power to make this work. However, we're starting to get to the point that if something happened in the middle of the summer, we would potentially have to close it through the middle of the summer, and that's obviously not what we want.
So, and if this doesn't happen, I'll have to do what I did, I did it in 21 and 22, where we drained the whole pool, had to power wash the pool, and treat it and fill it back up. Of course, every time you power wash, it knocks more and more of the plaster off, which is why last year I tried to make it without power washing or draining and power washing it. And I tried lots of different pH levels and chemical levels and scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing. And it was okay when we opened. By midsummer, there was a lot of black algae growing. The chlorine doesn't kill the black algae. You have to get in there and scrape the top off of it for the chlorine to get into it. It has a protective cover. And so when we're open, there's no time for that. And the amount of shock that I would need, I couldn't be open for people during that time. So I tried something different last summer. It really didn't go over very well.
So do we have full confirmation that, say, council approves it, do we have full confirmations they'd be able to have it completed in April in time for the May?
So when they gave me this, I said, when's the last, what's the last date that you need to know this? It's March 15th. And so I said, go ahead and get me on your calendar and I'll let you know for sure March 26th after the council meeting.
Yeah. I mean, just for like money's sake, I think it needs to be approved before, before May, because for me, it's a health hazard, and
Yeah.
I don't think that we need to open it and then take it down for 4 weeks
That's
to
what-
get it fixed and then put it back, so.
Yeah, we've been told that if we get this approved this month, then we
Then
would
we'll be in
then we
shape.
could.
That,
I mean,
I think
obviously,
that
I
would be for, to opening for
Yeah,
summer. I mean, this is a pool company that understands that your pool has to be open. I mean, they're really good with me when something goes down to come immediately to get us up and running quickly. I mean, I've worked with them a lot, and I do trust that they would do everything in their power to get us open on time. I mean, that's the other thing is, like, this is not something that we could have done prior to April because of the weather. You have to wait until the temperatures
Right.
are warmer and those kinds of things to do the
So
plaster.
how much black
Algae,
algae is in there now?
a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, where is it? There is,
I'm just wondering if the aviation's not gonna come in and say,
they could,
yeah,
I mean, if we, yeah,
Who's the regulator?
Arizona Department of Health.
the Department of Health.
I mean, it's been a battle to, and I say that like I've done it, but it's been a battle for Kristen to keep us above that. For the
I mean,
last few years.
it's a very big challenge. I mean, I'll say that I inherited black algae. I've inherited black algae in this pool over here. It's almost impossible to keep out. It feeds off of phosphates, and phosphates are in our source water that's constantly basically feeding the algae in the pool. But also out at Mills, like, having a cover over that pool would help with extending the life of the
That's my next
plaster.
thing, is there a cover?
It's something we've talked about, but like a lot of things.
I mean, it's like $15,000 to get a cover for it, and it just hasn't been, I mean, I think with, if we get this done, that would be a good thing to look at, just to protect it, and to protect it from all of the leaves. I mean, every leaf in
That's
Middle
my
Park
thing.
blows into that pool.
Could we make a motion to approve this, and then if we're gonna spend this kind of money, to look at going ahead and getting a cover for the fall, winter,
Mhm.
just so the life and,
Protect that investment.
Yes.
protect the investment on it.
Definitely, it would.
Yeah,
It would
we could
definitely
bring-
help.
And we would bring that back and we could talk about that in the fall. 'Cause that's-
Right, but I just wanna make it an agenda that we come back, circle back to it in September, August, September, whenever we get ready to close. When do you close the pool? Labor Day?
Labor Day.
So bring it back up in August, that way Labor Day comes around, we can put a top on.
I mean, and because it's got the mushroom in the middle and the way it, it'll have to be specially made,
Mhm.
which obviously makes it more expensive and, time-wise, lead time as far as getting one. But I could ask for a quote, go ahead and get a quote
So
going
we
on
have some ideas of things to bring.
it.
Is that something that we could wrap into this request?
That's what my next thing, could we,
I guess you need to get a formal quote,
Get the quote for it.
something, and,
Yeah.
We can mention that, I think, Chris Kramer, you're also doing the workshop you're also planning for the workshop next Tuesday? Joy's budget workshop?
Yes,
I guess that's what they call it, yeah.
it's not a workshop, maybe it is, I'm not sure.
So now the council they do a budget
During the day.
meeting.
What do we call that, Jack? What's that
It's
called?
more or less so that we know what the numbers are gonna be, it's just an eye opener.
So, yeah, so if you guys, make a motion to move forward with it, the intent is for us to take that next week to that meeting, so that we have a little bit more of an opportunity to explain that, and we can bring that up there as
I
well.
think you can put that in your motion, that you also recommend put the money aside for a cover to be purchased.
I mean, I think that would be smart, just to protect it.
Or at least we can move forward.
When I first started, I got a quote, I think it was $12,000 8 years ago. So, yeah, but that was 8 years ago. That was 8 years ago. Oh, everything has skyrocketed since then. So,
Yeah.
15 to 20, I don't know, because I haven't had it since, but it was about 12,000 when I first started. But I mean, you're also looking at what we do all winter long. We keep it running and me or one of my staff is over there scooping leaves out every week.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's the same thing with like the bathrooms, putting the heaters on. We'll free up time and money up employees to go do other things within the city. So I make a motion to take this to council and, like Richard said, add the, cover to the pool also.
Okay.
And I'll work on getting quotes for that, for a cover.
Before we vote on that, just one question,
Yeah.
maybe an arcane question, but is there any city, provision or restrictions on no bid contracts, since this is the single source that we have?
Our purchasing policy allows us to use cooperative purchasing programs.
Okay,
This would,
And they qualify.
they would qualify.
perfect.
We use them, we use them all the time.
Excuse me, who did you get the quotes from for the cover?
The same company.
I wonder if there's something else, like they're like tipping awning or something like that, could make something to $31,000 seems expensive to me, but living in the past.
Just for my pool, at my house, it's like $5-6 grand for a cover, just for at my house.
And they were looking at a commercial cover that,
Mhm.
you know, it has to be, you know, a special.
I got one in our shop we can use. Wouldn't fit, but we can use it.
So we have a motion to move forward with Kristen's recommendation that we seek approval for resurfacing, Mills Park Pool and, purchasing a pool cover to be installed by Blue Water.
My second.
Guess you're making the motion. I'm calling.
He made the motion.
He made
He made the
He made the
motion.
motion, I'm second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
Good job.
All right, moving forward.
Hey, I'm going back out of bounds. Have we had any rain since, this is on the old business, when the gutters, have we had any rain, big significant rainfall with the new gutters, the back of Bishop?
I don't know that we have had any flooding type rain. We had a lot of rain.
We had a lot of rain, but
Week
it didn't
and-
much.
Did anybody get a glimpse? I guess we hadn't had nothing. Did we have standing water and stuff back
No,
there?
it is better back there,
Yeah, I came up and looked, it's much better.
Yeah.
All right.
And our guys installed a French drain there to try to help kind of get some of it out. So, I mean, it's still, I mean, it's wet, but it's not like standing water.
Right.
So hopefully
Okay,
that black mold is.
but no.
Like algae growing.
Strike that from the record. Page of the Courier tomorrow.
Have any other committee comments?
Yeah, I got one. Basketball season ended last Saturday. And, I just want to thank, Ebony for leading the program. Once again, it was record numbers. As far as I know, everything was smooth. It was great basketball all year. And then I'd like to thank the middle school principal, Harris, for opening up his gym at the last minute. It was almost like the last week before season started. He opened it up. And then the junior high principal, Hay, and then the Hurricane, PE teacher, Ashley Gore, and then the principal, Williams, over there. So without them, we'd have had a very difficult basketball season and nowhere really to play. So
Yeah.
really want to thank them for doing all that.
And we talked about that a couple of months ago. My intention was I was gonna get with Ebony and see if she is available, although if we do the workshop next month, maybe we try to do a meeting or something with it, because I know that I don't want us to go too long without us discussing, we wanted to talk about basketball for the future and how to plan for the future and things like that. So I want to get on that pretty soon, but I was giving Ebony a little bit of a breather from just wrapping up before doing that. But yes, I do plan on bringing that back next month, either next month or the month after, and getting the ball rolling on that. far as looking for space for next year and working together to figure out how to keep from having to limit our league and in fact, giving our league room to grow, so.
Thank you, Cody. Anybody else? I have a motion that we adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?